Welcome to Life Stories, where the ones who stay silent the longest often have the deepest truths to tell. What if your family loved you, but only when you played the role they assigned you? What if the person who always smiled in group photos, the helper, the extra pair of hands, suddenly said no? This isn't a story about rebellion, it's a story about awakening, about what happens when someone finally chooses peace over pleasing, and how one quiet voice can shake an entire family's foundation. She didn't ask to be the villain, she just stopped being the backup plan. And what came next? Changed everything. Let's begin. Samantha Grayson had always been the reliable one, the one who smiled through the grind, who showed up without being asked, who kept the family machine running without ever demanding oil for her own hinges. At 27, she worked at a boutique interior design studio in Portland, a job she landed on her own merit, in a city she chose, with a life she tried, desperately, to build for herself. But every year, when the family group chat lit up with plans for the annual summer getaway, Samantha could feel the walls of her independence close in. No matter where they went, last year it was Monterey, this year it was back to the coast, there was always one constant. She would end up babysitting Rachel's three boys, while Rachel and her husband Matt wined and dined under spotlights and sunset cocktails. This year, though, was supposed to be different. Samantha had booked her own hotel room a mile away from the family's rental. She told them, politely but firmly, that she'd be driving separately, managing her own schedule, and only joining the group when she wanted to. Rachel's response had been a string of passive-aggressive texts that culminated in, "Fine, do what you want. Just don't expect the family to be okay with this kind of behavior." What kind of behavior exactly? Boundaries? The day she left Portland for the coast, the morning air was cool and sharp with early light. She rolled the windows down and let the breeze rush through her hair as her favorite playlist played quietly through the speakers. For the first time in years, she was heading toward a family vacation without feeling like she was walking into a trap. The check-in was smooth. Her room had a small balcony with a view of the water peeking between pines. The bed was firm, the sheets white and uncreased. There were no toys on the floor, no juice boxes on the nightstand, just space, her space. That evening, she joined the family for dinner at a beachfront restaurant. The table was loud with kid energy and parental fatigue. Rachel looked flawless as always in a linen dress and a fresh manicure, while Samantha wore jeans and a windbreaker, still dusted with sand from her afternoon hike. As soon as Samantha sat down, Rachel leaned in and said, too sweetly, "The boys missed you today. Maybe tomorrow you could take them for a bit while Matt and I go to the winery?" Samantha blinked. "I have plans tomorrow." "Oh," Rachel tilted her head. "You're really not going to help at all this year?" Before Samantha could answer, Matt, silent up to this point, cut in. "Rachel, let's not do this here." Rachel laughed, sharp and breathless. "Do what? Ask for help from my sister who has zero responsibilities and all the free time in the world?" Samantha stared at her. "You mean responsibilities like raising children I didn't choose to have?" The table went quiet. Even the boys, mid-fry, seemed to pause. The next morning, a message came. Not a text, a DM. It was from a stranger. "Hey, I saw your Reddit post last week. The one about your family vacation? I think I know who you are." Samantha's stomach dropped. She hadn't expected the post to go viral. She'd written it anonymously. No names, no photos. Just a raw account of last year's vacation. The exhaustion, the invisibility, the way everyone assumed her time was free because she didn't have a wedding ring or a diaper bag. Now someone had connected the dots. Before she could respond, a second message came. "I'm Emily. I work at the used bookstore on Alberta Street. You come in every Saturday. You help me pick out a paint color once for my apartment." Samantha remembered her. The quiet woman with honey-colored eyes and a voice like warm tea. Always recommending poetry or novels by women who didn't apologize. "I just wanted to say, you weren't wrong. And I hope you don't stop writing." Samantha sat back on the hotel bed, phone in her lap, heart racing, not from fear, from something else. Recognition. Maybe, for the first time, someone truly saw her. That afternoon, the tension exploded. Rachel showed up unannounced at Samantha's hotel, 3 kids in tow, and a look of brittle fury. "You think you can post about me online and get away with it?" she snapped the moment Samantha opened the door. "You came here to yell in front of your kids?" Rachel didn't even flinch. "You humiliated me. People at Matt's office saw the post. They know it's about us." Samantha folded her arms. "Good. Maybe now they know what being the easy sibling costs." Rachel shoved an envelope into her hands. "Here. Money. For last year. Every pizza. Every hour. Every damn bedtime story. Are we even now?" Samantha opened it. It was thick, more than she expected. Not just symbolic. She looked up, but Rachel was already walking away. That night, Matt texted her, "Thank you for being the first one in this family to tell the truth." Do you think Samantha crossed a line by exposing her family online, or did she finally reclaim her voice after years of silence? Can a family built on unspoken expectations survive when one person stops playing their part? But Samantha didn't know that by breaking her silence, she wasn't just shaking her family's foundation. She was uncovering a deeper betrayal that had been hidden in plain sight. In the next part, a revelation from Matt will change everything. The envelope Rachel had shoved into Samantha's hands still sat unopened on the nightstand, its corners slightly curled from being clutched too tightly. Samantha hadn't touched it since. She wasn't sure why. Maybe because money, even in abundance, felt hollow when it arrived laced with blame. Or maybe because, deep down, she didn't want reimbursement. She wanted recognition. An apology that meant something. A change that lasted longer than the silence after a screaming match. That night, the hotel room felt unusually still. Samantha lay in bed, half awake, watching the ceiling light sway from the breeze of the open balcony door. The moonlight cast pale stripes across the floor like the bars of a cage, except this one she had built for herself, out of old habits, polite smiles, and swallowed words. Her phone buzzed. "Matt, can we talk? Just the two of us. I'm outside." Samantha sat up slowly, unsure whether to feel wary or just curious. She threw on a hoodie, slipped into her sneakers, and walked down the dim hallway toward the lobby. He was standing just beyond the parking lot, near the shadow of a driftwood bench, hands in his pockets, looking like someone who hadn't slept well in days. When he saw her, he offered a weak smile, not quite meeting her eyes. "Thanks for coming out," he said. "I know it's late." Samantha crossed her arms. "What's going on, Matt?" He exhaled. "It's about Rachel, and you, and something I should have told you a long time ago." Her stomach tightened. Matt hesitated, his voice low. "Last summer, when we left the coast, Rachel told me she had paid you, said she gave you cash, twice, once in Monterey and once after we got back. She even described leaving it on your kitchen counter." Samantha frowned. "There was no cash. Not once." "I know," he said quietly. "I believed her at first. I didn't want to start a fight over money. But last week, after your Reddit post went viral, I went through our finances. I found out she'd moved money out of our joint account, labeled it family expenses." Samantha's breath caught. "She didn't give it to you," Matt confirmed. "She pocketed it. And when I confronted her, she admitted it. Said she was making up for all the times you were late or ungrateful." Samantha stared at him. "She stole money meant for me and made it sound like a favor." He nodded, shame clouding his face. "I'm sorry. I should have looked into it sooner. But honestly, I was exhausted. I let her run everything, and now I don't even know who she is anymore." Samantha didn't speak for a moment. There was a strange metallic taste in her mouth. Not anger, not quite. Something colder, something like betrayal, but heavier. "She weaponized generosity," she said, almost to herself, "and used motherhood as her shield." Matt sat on the edge of the bench, hands clasped between his knees. "She's not well, Sam. She's seeing a therapist now. But I think this went beyond being overwhelmed. It's control. She controls the narrative, the money, the guilt, and I let her." Samantha's hands curled into fists at her sides. The old her would have said, "It's okay, I understand." But she was done excusing everyone else's damage just because it was easier to carry it herself. I don't want to be part of a lie anymore, she said. You're not, Matt replied. You were the only one telling the truth. There was a long silence between them. The wind picked up slightly, rustling the pines above. She doesn't know I'm here, he added. But she will soon. I'm leaving tomorrow. I need space. And the boys, they don't need to grow up thinking this dynamic is normal. Samantha looked at him, truly looked at him, not as Rachel's husband, not as the passive father on the sidelines, but as a man slowly peeling away the layers of a life he no longer recognized. I don't hate her, Samantha whispered. I know, Matt said. But maybe that's the problem. She's only ever had love, never consequences. As they stood to leave, Matt placed something in her hand, a small folded paper. She opened it, a bank transfer confirmation. Full repayment from our joint account. No tricks. He didn't wait for a response, just nodded once, quietly, and walked away. Samantha stood in the dark a little longer, holding the paper, the wind now colder than before. Something inside her cracked. Not broken, but shifted. What hurt the most wasn't the money, or even the manipulation. It was the knowledge that she'd spent years begging for breadcrumbs from a table she had helped build. When someone finally acknowledges the weight you've carried in silence, does it bring peace? Or does it reveal just how long you've been starving for it? And when love becomes a currency traded for guilt, how do you learn to receive it freely again? But Samantha's reckoning wasn't over, because Rachel had just read the Reddit post for herself. And the call that came next would leave Samantha questioning not only her past, but her place in the family she thought she knew. Don't miss what happens in part 3. Rachel's name lit up the screen just after sunrise. Samantha stared at her phone for several seconds, thumb hovering over the decline button. After what Matt had revealed the night before, after everything she'd held in for years, a part of her wanted silence. Not a confrontation, not more theater, just quiet. But silence had never changed anything. It had only buried her further. She answered. Rachel's voice was composed, too composed. So it's all out there now. Samantha didn't respond. I read the Reddit post, Rachel continued. The comments. Hundreds of strangers who think I'm the villain in your coming-of-age movie. Samantha closed her eyes. It wasn't about turning you into a villain. It was about telling the truth. My truth or yours? Rachel shot back. You made it sound like I'd chained you to my kids, like I've never struggled. Samantha inhaled sharply, trying to keep her tone steady. Rachel, you lied about paying me. You took money meant for me and kept it. You made me feel like wanting a moment to myself was selfish. A pause. Then something in Rachel's voice shifted, softer, rawer. I did lie, she admitted. I told Matt I gave you cash because I didn't want to look like someone who used her sister. But the truth is, I did. I did use you, and I didn't know how to stop. You were just always there. That cracked something in Samantha. Not forgiveness, not yet. But it was the first time Rachel had said it without dressing it in manipulation. I was drowning, Rachel added, and instead of asking for help, I pulled you under with me. Samantha sank onto the bed, the phone pressed against her cheek. I know I don't deserve grace right now, Rachel said, but I wanted to tell you something else, something I haven't told anyone. Samantha waited. When we were little, Rachel began, her voice dropping to a near whisper, Mom used to tell me I had to be perfect. For both of us. She said I had to be the strong one because you were more sensitive. So I started performing. I took everything, the attention, the praise, even your share of the space. And somewhere along the way, I stopped knowing where the performance ended. Samantha's throat tightened. I didn't steal your childhood on purpose, Rachel said, but I didn't protect it either. It wasn't an excuse. It wasn't a plea. It was a confession. Samantha's eyes filled, though no tears fell. What do you want from me, Rachel? I want to earn back whatever pieces of you I still have access to. They ended the call without a promise to meet, without a clear next step. But, for the first time, Samantha didn't feel like she was the only one holding the weight. 2 weeks passed. Back in Portland, Samantha returned to work, to the scent of fresh wallpaper samples and muted jazz humming through the design studio speakers. But something had shifted. Not just in her family, but in her. She no longer checked her phone with dread. She no longer felt like she owed anyone an explanation for claiming peace. One rainy Saturday, Emily, bookstore Emily, invited her to a poetry reading in a small downtown cafe. They sat side by side, sipping coffee as verses spilled across the mic. Later, Emily reached for Samantha's hand and held it without needing to say anything. It wasn't romantic yet. Maybe it never would be. But it was safe, steady. And for the first time, Samantha didn't feel like she had to earn presents with sacrifice. 3 months after the vacation, Samantha received a handwritten letter. It was from Rachel. The envelope was thick with several folded pages. No dramatics, no looping apologies, just stories. Honest ones. Rachel wrote about therapy, about realizing she had built her identity around control, about waking up each day and asking herself who she was when she wasn't managing everyone around her. She ended the letter with a line that stayed with Samantha long after she folded it closed. You were never the supporting character, Sam. I just refused to see it. In the following months, things didn't become perfect, but they became real. Her mother stopped sending guilt-laced messages and started asking for her opinion on family plans. Her father sent her photos of the new garden he'd built and signed every text with, "Hope you're resting too." Even the group chat got renamed. Grace and Reset. And Rachel? She didn't try to rewrite the past. She just kept showing up differently. Once, she sent Samantha a voice message from the art class she'd joined. Her voice light, uncertain, like a woman relearning how to live in her own skin. Samantha didn't rush to respond. But when she finally did, she sent a photo of the book Emily had given her. On the inside cover, she'd written, "For the girl who stopped saying yes to being erased." One quiet fall evening, Samantha stood alone on her balcony, wrapped in a thick sweater, the city lights flickering below. The wind tugged at her hair, and in that stillness she thought about how much she had given away. Time, identity, voice, all in the name of love. But now she understood something her family never had the words for. Love that requires silence is not love. It's duty in disguise. And she was done with duty. That night before bed, Samantha finally opened the envelope Rachel had given her during the vacation. The cash was still there, untouched, but now she saw it differently. Not as compensation, not even as apology, as evidence of the girl she used to be and the woman she had finally become. What did this story make you feel? Was it painful, hopeful, or maybe a little of both? Comment 100 if you loved the story. Let us know where you're watching from. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. And thank you for watching Life Stories.